The backstage pass he forgot to hide, the night the stage door remembered us. At 9:06 p.m., I reached into his coat for chapstick and pulled out a badge that knew too much. It was laminate, scuffed into legitimacy, yellow around the edges, ORPHUMTHEATRE all areas, and on the back a square of tape with his initials and today's date in a hurried hand. When I tilted it toward the kitchen light, the hologram winked, delicate and sure, the way a secret practices in the mirror before it volunteers. Rowan had left at 8 with the jacket that flatters him even when mirrors are Christians about it. "Wrap toast," he'd said, 2 words that make celebration sound like minutes. Then notes with Ari backstage. "Don't wait." Ari is the leading man with a mouth that knows what applause looks like from the inside. The cinnamon thing in the oven pretended to be a plan, sweetness as method, sugar as diplomacy. The apartment's light climbed the wall in clean squares and refused to narrate me. I pressed the badge against my thumb until the lanyard left a dent, then slid it into my pocket where bruises feel useful. I didn't text him. The distance between a thumb and a decision is sometimes a cliff. I took the jacket that knows how to stay quiet and let the door ease shut behind me like a promise I didn't deserve. The Orpheum sits on a street that learned to pose once its scaffolding left. Brass taught itself restraint against black glass. The old marquee believed in neon in a way that made everyone behave better. The alley along the stage door smelled like rain that had changed its mind. A kid with a headset and too much confidence pointed at my badge and decided I belonged to someone else's schedule. He pressed a button, and the door buzzed, and the night consented to be a hallway. Backstage is a religion made of gaff tape and willingness. The corridor narrowed on purpose, the way churches insist you mean it. On the wall hung a call sheet the size of a promise. Ari's name sprawled across it in clean letters, and under it, after notes with R, the word after did more work than it needed. The headset kid handed me a spare mask and nodded toward the green room as if I were an apology he'd seen before. I didn't go to the green room. I found the stage instead, a dark ocean with islands of tape where actors remember how to be true in the same place twice. Out past the wings, the audience's breath smoothed itself into a single creature. The orchestra pit blinked with its tiny constellations. A light cue turned the proscenium into suggestion. On the far side, the door to the fly tower swallowed 2 silhouettes at once, their outlines touching not by accident but by geography. I followed their reflection into the stairwell, because jealousy makes men efficient. Light leaked up the steps like an invitation that forgot to be polite. I climbed into the rigging level where the ropes run, and the catwalks explain gravity to people who try not to hear it. Above me, the grid hummed with electricity and dust and earlier versions of every line anyone had ever believed. Ari's laugh arrived first, then Rowan's answer in the register he saves for rooms with dimmers. They were on the lower catwalk, close enough to the drop curtain that the city outside became a soft rumor. Ari leaned on the rail with the posture of a man who knows he is being watched even when he is. Rowan stood half-turned toward him, jacket off, shirt open a notch beyond daytime, hands talking like they'd been asked to audition for truth. I could have coughed, the classic. I could have said his name. Instead, I put my palm flat on the cold steel and waited for my breath to decide what it wanted to be when it grew up. "Eli," Rowan said without turning, the way a man says the word that will stop or start history. Some part of me I didn't ask for had given me away. Ari shifted his weight with unremarkable grace, the grace that gets men out of rooms without being accused of theft. He didn't retreat. He edited himself to the edge of the light and let the catwalk be the thing he was saying. "I'll be downstairs," he said. Not apology, not dare, competence. "Stay," I said, because if I wanted theater I would have texted. My voice behaved better than I did. Rowan glanced at the near corner where a camera pretended to be asleep. He nodded toward the far landing where a door opened onto a wedge of roof designed specifically for smokers and decisions. We crossed the little bridge together, three bodies doing the math of not touching. The roof kept its secrets in a square of air the color of late. Ductwork hummed like anxious crickets. The rail had learned the language of palm and heat. Down on the street, a delivery mope wrote frantic punctuation for no one in particular. From inside, a muffled chord told the audience they were good and would be told so again. "I lied when I left," Rowan said. "He doesn't waste adjectives when he's decided to be correct." Rap happened. Everyone applied their best grammar to goodbye. I told myself I wanted 30 minutes where interesting didn't have to pass inspection. "Ari," I said, "because names are handles and I like my hands full when floors tilt." Rowan nodded. Ari looked at me with steady limitations, the way good frames look at art they're not allowed to keep. The air found the opening under my collar and decided it could stay. "Are you sleeping with him?" The question is a cliff. There isn't a scenic route. You count to one and make your mouth earn your name. "Not yet," Rowan said, clean, immediate. Then lower, the honesty that knows which muscle exactly will bruise. "I brought my mouth." Ari's eyelids did a small human thing, neither flinch nor triumph. He has taste. He didn't apologize or audition. He gave me the nod men give when they have chosen to be furniture on purpose and took one step into the shade that made him neither defense nor threat. "You like the kind of wanting that proves something kindness can't," I said. "I didn't make it cruel. Cruelty is the lazy cousin of precision. You treat intimacy like a sport and honesty like off-season training." "You like to coach," he said, mouth trying to pretend it didn't know how to be handsome. "Which is unfair and how we survived the dress rehearsal that was our 20s. "What do you want?" I asked. "Now, not the apology you tuned for daylight." He stepped the last inch between invention and decision. Heat traveled across the inch the way forgiveness can if it's given instructions nicely. He spoke so close I felt punctuation. "I want to go home with you," he said. "I want you to want me where our towels remember us and no one needs to pretend applause is love." Ari let out a breath that was not approval, oxygen navigating. The city below cleared its throat. I lifted my hand to the soft place at Rowan's wrist where men keep their apologies and felt his pulse write my name there without permission. His eyes closed like doors that expect hands. I used my mouth to steady his and then to coach it toward honesty. I kissed him. Not hunger first, relief. Relief is the kind of appetite you can walk across a bridge without anyone hatting you for it. He leaned into it like a debt that finally liked its math. My palm slid under his shirt to the heat at the small of his back where his body keeps its best arguments. He made the quiet sound he doesn't know how to perform on cue. The glass beyond us threw our outlines back thinner than truth, and I corrected the proportion with my mouth until the roof agreed that we were a fact. I stopped before the room could pretend to be a witness. He kept his forehead near mine like punctuation. Ari turned toward the door with the restraint of a professional who refuses to be a plot twist and vanished into the stairwell without rearranging our air. We walked back along the catwalk together with the caution earned by men who have just remembered they live somewhere else. The headset kid passed us with a nod that meant I am paid to see nothing, and I like that about myself. In the corridor, the costumes practiced being empty. In the alley, the stage door made the sound of a promise closing gently. In the cab, he didn't touch me. Not touching was not a sin, it was a savings account. At home, the cinnamon had held its heat with indecent loyalty. We ate it at the counter with our fingers because forks would have made it ceremonial. He watched my mouth like men check the time at the end of a long shift, hopeful, resigned, grateful. I slid my palm under his shirt again and found the heat like a street I refused to forget. He leaned into me with the weight gratitude prefers. We were careful in bed, not the kind of careful that kills heat, the kind that knows where to fold it. He knows where to lay his palm on my ribs so the rest of me turns without issuing a statement. I know where his shoulder hides when it doesn't want to confess, and how to coax it into telling the truth with weight and breath, and a mouth that has stopped trying to rescue him and still wants him. I won't give you choreography. I'll tell you the room remembered to breathe, and the morning forgave us because it had other work to do. We slept the sleep that has terms and conditions. Morning buttoned a clean shirt on our choices. He made coffee the way he does when he wants me to listen. I opened the windows to see if mercy could afford us. The badge sat on the table between us like a witness who hadn't decided whether it wanted to testify. He started with small truths because small truths keep larger ones upright. The notes had run long. The backstage made the city feel navigable. Ari's attention had the grammar he'd been wanting to try on. He ran out of script and reached across the table with his hand open like someone who has learned that the miracle is not forgiveness, but the chance to apply for it. He said he is tired of being interesting for a living, that he wanted to be wanted the way stupid teenagers are, earnest, badly lit, forgiven in advance. He said he imagined my mouth more than once up there and felt ashamed of the math. He said he was sorry like a man who knows sorry is a tool, not an eraser. I did not forgive him at the table. Forgiveness is a daylight animal in morning's charge. I told him to put on the coat that doesn't belong to stage doors and walk with me to the canal where water lies about Paris, and we let it. On a bench that likes us, we watched gulls fail cheerfully at precision. He hooked his thumb in my pocket like humility. I let him. 2 nights later, I saw Ari in the Orpheum lobby, lemon and ambition mixed into a cologne the building overused. He gave me the nod men give when they have chosen to be furniture on purpose. He didn't apologize and I didn't deputize. We shared an elevator that spelled our names backward and neither of us corrected it. It isn't that we agreed. It's that we learned to read ourselves both ways. The badge lives now in the drawer with tape and warranties and paper we can't throw away without killing a Saturday. I do not trust rectangles that make doors remember me. I trust the smell of cinnamon at 4. The square of light climbing our wall like it has something to recommend. The heat at the small of his back when my hand decides to remember. If another laminate ever pretends to be art and shakes itself out of a book, I will do what I did the night the stage door remembered us. Find air, choose kissing over theater, walk him home with my hand at the part of his body that knows the address, and keep teaching our door, gently, stubbornly, in as many attempts as necessary to open from the inside.